Hazardous materials are transported across Illinois highways every day, but as we saw in Tutopolis, when crashes happen, there can be deadly circumstances and consequences to that. And in a part 2 of our special report, our Carolina Hassett takes a deep dive into how many of these trucks are on our highways driving right next to us and how officials now take steps to protect Illinois drivers.
What happened in the small town of Tutopolis, Illinois can happen anywhere. 5 people died after a semi-truck carrying anhydrous ammonia was damaged after the truck driver veered off the road to avoid a crash, releasing the gas into the surrounding area. While we don't think much of it, we drive next to these kinds of materials every single day. But there are ways to keep yourself safe.
You get behind the wheel of a semi and you're tooling down the interstate at 70 miles an hour and somebody cuts you off and you lock up your brakes and you realize you're not slowing down. It's a little unnerving.
Many of us pass in and out of lanes on the highway without much thought. However, we don't realize the impact it has on truck drivers, especially ones carrying hazardous materials.
Some commercial motor vehicles are going to display placards, but sometimes smaller amounts of hazardous materials don't require any placarding at all.
Common hazmat items that are transported include farming chemicals, fertilizer compounds, pesticides, fuels, and refrigerant gases like liquid nitrogen and carbon dioxide. The size and weight of these vehicles are what makes them dangerous and leaves truck drivers with one of their biggest fears when sharing the road with smaller vehicles.
Crushing them. Really and truly, you're so much bigger than they are.
Despite the most drastic consequence of losing your life, there are other ways crashes with these vehicles can impact your life.
Lots of damage, lifelong disabilities, lots of legal ramifications.
Let's take a look at how many of these we share our roadways with. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, there are over 48,000 overall registered motor carriers in the state. Zooming into central Illinois, there are about 259 registered in Springfield, 157 in Champaign, 140 in Decatur, and 229 in Quincy. But how many of these vehicles carry potentially dangerous chemicals in the state? There are about 354 total freight trucks that carry hazardous materials on our roadways. This leaves the question of how to stay safe. One thing to remember is that these vehicles can't stop quickly.
An 80,000-pound commercial motor vehicle traveling at highway speeds will take nearly 2 football fields to actually come to a complete stop.
Another thing to realize is larger trucks don't have the same visibility as smaller vehicles. All trucks have several no zones or blind spots. One on the side behind the driver's door, one in the front of the truck, and one in the back of the truck.
We want to make sure we don't want to linger in those areas. We want to get by there or hang back and reduce your speed.
But how can you determine whether or not you are in a blind spot while driving? Look for the driver's face. If you can't see them, they probably can't see you. When it comes to accidents, the biggest mistake the Illinois State Police sees is distracted driving.
We want to make sure that the motorists out there are putting those devices down. Concentrate on driving.
ISP encourages drivers to pull over if you need to use your phone, wear your seatbelt, and avoid passing these trucks on the right. Truck drivers saying one of the biggest frustrations is cars cutting in front of them last minute.
I don't think you can ever really understand that until you actually get behind the wheel of a 13-foot tall, 70-foot long, 80,000-pound machine.
So the next time you approach a larger truck on the highway, remember one thing.
Just give us space. If nothing else, give them that leeway.
ISP tells me that it routinely conducts inspections on all commercial motor vehicles to make sure they're complying with the federal motor safety regulations. In studio, I'm Carolina Hassett. Back to you.
Thank you, Carolina, for that in-depth report. Now, as we get closer into summer here, ISP also says it's important to obey speed limits and, of course, look out for those workers in construction zones. You can stay up to date with all your top headlines by getting them delivered straight to your email inbox every weekday morning. Sign up now for our newsletter at foxillinois.com.
Don't miss a video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today for more Central Illinois news.